for joining me on the 6:15. I'm Kejan Henry Atembe from the News Center in Douala. Let's set the salvo with our headline. Two persons have been arrested in connection with the murder of a 50-year-old man in Bacham, West region of Cameroon. The police investigations have revealed that this is not their first crime in the village of Bamifok. And the Douala 5 Municipal Council is on a demolition galore to give a new facelift to the city. The offensive is without the proliferation of makeshift stores around market. And the Northwest Regional Assembly has joined the fray of national and local efforts pushing for effective school resumption in the region with the handing over of school materials to secondary schools. Top stories. Thanks and welcome to join me. Consult our social media platforms and others for continuous news. Two young men in their 20s have been arrested in Bacham, that is in the Bambotos division of the West region of the country, that is in connection with the murder of a 50-year-old man. The arrest comes weeks after the heinous crime was committed that sent shockwaves down the village. Details with Morindi.
Approximately 2 weeks ago, the community was shaken by the brutal murder of Notsa Maurice in his residence in the Mbamemboro neighborhood of Bacham, West region of Cameroon. Following a thorough investigation, police have apprehended two suspects believed to be responsible for this heinous crime. Presenting the suspects, both in their 30s, authorities identified Numbisi Theodon Hippolyte, also known as Arafat, age 22, who recounted the events of that fateful night. His cousin, 22-year-old Ndamene Derek, however, vehemently denies any involvement, maintaining his innocence amidst the allegations. Investigations have revealed that this may not be the duo's first offense, raising concerns about their past criminal activities. Further details emerged during interrogations suggesting a pattern of violence linked to the suspects. After the presentation to the media, the suspects were taken before the public prosecutor to answer for their actions. Authorities are continuing their investigations to uncover any potential masterminds behind the crime, emphasizing a commitment to ensuring justice for the victim and the community.
And the Douala 5 Municipal Council is on a demolition galore to make sure they give a new facelift to the city. The offensive is to weed out the proliferation of makeshift stores that have inhibited the city. And this demolition galore has actually sent irate traders to the streets. Details once more with Maury.
In the early hours of Friday, local authorities in Douala conducted a series of demolitions targeting makeshift stores, sparking outrage among affected traders. The operation, which took place overnight, was part of a broader initiative to combat urban disorder and address suspicions of drug trafficking associated with these stores.
On vient, on lui détruit comme ça, c'est pour qu'il part où? Ils sont en train de nous envoyer d'aller continuer à se noyer dans la mer ou comment?
Among those impacted was Sabine, a local vendor whose store was left in ruins.
Nous n'avions même pas encore remboursé peut-être les crédits qu'on a eu à prêter pour envoyer les enfants à l'école.
Sabine is not alone. Numerous other storeholders reported similar fates with their businesses reduced to debris. Authorities have justified the demolitions by alleging that several of these stores are linked to illicit drug trade. However, affected traders argue that these measures have not only devastated their businesses, but have also raised questions about the methods being employed to tackle urban issues.
Nous avons sensibilisé ces derniers par voie du suivi
Despite the demolitions, many vendors resumed their activities just hours later on the same site works. This quick return has sparked doubts regarding the long-term effectiveness of the city's approach to managing urban disorder. Critics argue that such heavy-handed tactics may not address the underlying issues and call for more sustainable solutions that consider the livelihoods of those affected.
And talking about livelihood, it's not easy with the drop in the purchasing power of a majority of the people living in too many parts of the country. And so far, basic necessities like fresh fish, especially mackerel, is not able. In fact, many families are not able to acquire mackerel, which they consider is a fish for the poor. Dr. Cynthia.
In Douala, Cameroon's economic capital, the demand for mackerel continues to rise, leading to a significant increase in prices. This fish, highly favored by many Cameroonians, is becoming increasingly difficult to find. In response to rising costs, some consumers have resorted to group buying as a coping mechanism. We buy and share amongst ourselves. We used to buy 20 kilograms of fish at 28,000 francs. Now, 30 kilograms is sold at 54,000 francs. Meanwhile, restaurants and households are reluctantly turning to alternative fish species.
Now, I don't cook because it's very expensive. Now, I cook capitaine and bar because I don't have some money to buy many mackerel.
Je me sens plus à l'aise. Parfois, quand je vais manger peut-être du poisson brisé.
I'm no longer comfortable when I want to eat roast fish. I go to Bali or Bonapriso, but I don't find mackerel. I am forced to try other types that I have never been used to, and the taste is just not the same.
J'ai souvent l'habitude d'avoir sur le maquereau.
According to fish importer Dave Elombemani-Bain, the current scarcity can be attributed to the fishing season.
You saw the market right now. There is a very big shortage of roast mackerel. It's just because, first of all, it's about the catching period. So the catching periods have just started. For the first catching, you have the higher prices.
He explains that the payment methods used in Cameroon complicate the importation of mackerel from the international market. Additionally, he notes that fish storage policies at the Douala International Seaport further exacerbate the problem.
Douala ports, the price is too high because of the fact that when the product is arriving, you have to remove it directly. That the technical word to say it is you have to take it to Palang. So when you are not taking to Palang, you have so many duties that you have to pay, some fine that you have to pay, and something like that. So people like importers used to go directly to Kribi port. So from Kribi, they would take some commodities to come to bring the product to Douala, and it's an additional cost.
Despite the challenges, Elombemani-Bain remains optimistic, projecting an increase in mackerel supply in the coming months as the fishing season peaks.
And ministers in charge of security in the Central African sub-region have rounded up with their mutual strategies to better handle international organized crimes. Those of the curtains were drawn the thanks presented at by the Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Gongo. Beatrice Ngamo report.
Transnational crime poses significant growing security threats to countries in Central Africa. In order to achieve this goal, these criminal groups use systematic violence and corruption, such as terrorism in the Sahelian border, accompanied by attacks, kidnapping, and diverse actions.
Que dire du trafic des stupéfiants?
Drug trafficking, illegal abusive exploitation of natural resources, ramping up of cyber crimes, sources, unfortunately, of criminal activities that we have to absolutely demolish.
Que nous devons absolument démanteler.
The Forum of Ministers in charge of security issues in Central Africa, in its 24th session, opportunity to come out with a concerted strategy. One that should be in coherence with the priorities of Interpol, in line with the orientations of regional intelligence unit, and above all, adapted to the environment of these countries. Placed therefore for these ministers in charge of security issues to update or elaborate to the intentions of heads of Central African states a mutual strategy to effectively fight against cross-border crimes. A regional approach that will help the police face these new security threats in the sub-region. This September 20th, the Minister, Secretary General of the Presidency, Ferdinand Gongo, also inaugurated the Permanent Secretariat of the Central African Police Chiefs Committee, CAPCO, thus the end of the 4th Ordinary Security Session of the Council of Police Chiefs of Central Africa that started last Tuesday in Yaoundé, Cameroon.
And we move over to the Northwest region, where the Regional Assembly has joined the fray of national and local efforts to drop up effective school resumption in that part of the country. So they handed over didactic and school needs to some of the schools or secondary schools in the Northwest region. That was at the end of their 14th ordinary session. Details with Sherifa Salud, Carols from Northwest Chief Correspondent Nanyu Collin.
After meeting for 3 days, members of the Northwest Regional Assembly have wrapped up business at the 14th Ordinary Session with distribution of school and other materials to vulnerable children and students in a bid to encourage their early stages on the academic ladder.
Because I'm a technical student, so we mostly take practical. So like for me, if I expected something like, they just say, might be a working tool. So but what we receive is not actually bad, because it can actually help to the right path.
Through the 7 divisional delegations of secondary education, the Regional Executive Council handed sets of computers, beginning with the Special Needs Center in Bamenda.
Because when you educate a child, when you educate a woman, you will have dividends. Education should be what we tolerate. Because the person who is doing with education is most likely to be the one that because of that.
The materials will later be handed to schools according to their needs. These will go to complement school resumption efforts being undertaken at grassroots level.
For the secondary schools, I took a measure to encourage new children to come to school and offer scholarships of 25,000 francs for the first 100 children that will be enrolled in any secondary school in my municipality. And I think this was highly acclaimed by the people.
Children don't have anything in this crisis. They have to go to school. If you don't go to school, can you rule? So they should understand that they should allow children to go to school so that they will be intelligent to rule the country in the next future.
All stakeholders are now gearing for a more effective 2024-2025 school year from next week after the palpitating slow pace of the first 2 weeks.
Meantime, the National Council for the Approval of Textbooks and Didactic Materials has revealed that 4 textbooks on the official book list have not yet arrived in the country. And the Council indicated that over 328 textbooks are presently being distributed progressively across the country. Hyacinthia reports.
A total of 332 textbooks were approved this academic year for both nursery, primary and secondary schools of the English and French subsystems of education. According to the National Council for the Approval of Textbooks and Didactic Materials, as of the first week of school, 18 out of the validated books were not available in the market. And with the second week running out, it is regrettable that 4 of the books are yet to be on the Cameroonian soil.
Only 4 books of the 332 books that were validated are still to come. And they're coming from Asia and they will arrive anytime from now.
In the over 7 bookshops visited in the nation's political capital this September 19, parents could be spotted still hunting for some textbooks, relatively scarce.
The French textbook, they say it's finished. I can go and come back in a week's time when it will be available. I will buy. Then for the upper seat, the maths also, they say it's finished. I can go when it will be available.
The bookshop sellers, however, acknowledge the progressive supply of the books.
Class from 1, fireside tales, but it's already available. It's already available. That was the problem for yesterday, but it arrived today, this morning. So most of the books are already there. We are almost 95% of the books are already available right now.
So far, we have had about 96% of the books. Those some came late, some are still coming as we speak, some came in yesterday. Now because for the secondary level, at least we are aware most of the books were changed. So it's not really easy. We try to talk with the parents to understand.
The delay, the council blames on different factors.
Those who produce books don't give them on loan for sale. They prefer to give them on cash basis. And so bookshop owners who don't have cash to acquire these books and display in their bookshops may not have all the books. The problem of distribution, it takes a little longer for the books to be distributed to the north than to Cameroon, than to Yaoundé and Douala.
The council equally underlines that another fundamental problem plaguing the school materials is that some private institutions have snubbed the official book list and rather instituted the bulk of many other books with a cost amounting to over 100,000 francs per child, which is a heavy burden for parents.
Thanks very much, Hyacinth Sharon. Senior female researchers who have dared in effective health research in the country have decided to motivate young university students, female, of course, to make sure they pick up the challenge and be interested in the sector during the 7th Higher Women Consortium that took place this Friday. It is all about encouraging the girl child to pick up.
It is in record that very few women, girls, are involved in effective health research in Cameroon. It is to encourage, push, and motivate young university students to dare that the Higher Women's Consortium, meeting in its 7th session, organized this capacity building workshop.
It is not a competition. It's just a question of empowering the woman to carry out effective, successful, and sustainable health research to respond to the public health issues that we have in Cameroon.
Ideology of female scientists, successful senior Cameroonian women health researchers, all coincidentally teachers, offering mentorship in an exemplary manner.
In what is known as holistic mentorship. So it's not only about their career, but it's also about life. Every situation, the mentee can relate with their mentors on those aspects.
Salome is a young mentee and came for answers in relation to some barriers.
Is to be able to get skill on networking, because networking at the international platform has been very challenging. We also have difficulty getting grants in research. So the workshop is also addressing this issue.
The training session includes building skills needed for research, like palm oil, red gold or red devil, new tools in research such as artificial intelligence and nutrition, among others. The workshop this Friday at the Institute of Medical Research and Studies on Medicinal Plants under the Ministry of Scientific Research and Innovation falls in line with the Consortium's 10th anniversary.
Thanks very much, Beatrice Ngamo, drawing the curtains for this edition of the news, in which good information that the Northwest Regional Assembly has joined the frill of voices at local and national level to call for school resumption in the Northwest region with the handing over of didactic material to secondary schools. Of course, coming at the end of the 14th ordinary session of the Northwest Regional Assembly. I'm Kijang Henry Atimbe, thanking you for being there with us and wishing you a wonderful weekend. Coming up is Matthew Fangal with The Brief.